Hi everybody and welcome to Tech Tip Tuesdays. I'm excited to talk to you today about buzzing strings, that really annoying sound when the string is vibrating up against something and causing just that annoyance in our instrument. It doesn't matter if it's violin, viola, cello, or bass. It's really annoying when it happens. So let's go look at the four possible reasons, the primary reasons why this happens. The first one is actually fingerboard tape. So this instrument here has a broken bridge that we're going to replace, and they were complaining about buzzing strings as well. And the majority of buzzing problems comes from fingerboard tape. Now I know that's not the most exciting news to hear because I've got to have fingerboard tapes on in order for my kids to put their fingers down the right spot. But there's a couple options. Most people use electrical tape. So like you can see this one here has this really wide electrical tape on it. The other option that you can do is go get pinstriping tape from any auto parts store. They'll have pinstriping tape in a variety of colors, and you want the thinnest tape you can find. Now I know, this is controversial. Some people want a really wide tape, some people want a thin tape. But if you want to reduce buzzing, use the thinnest tape possible so there's the least amount of surface area for the string to actually vibrate against. So if you replace those tapes, that thick electrical tape, with this thinner pinstriping tape, it'll work better. Another option is you can go to a craft store that has scrapbooking supplies. And in there you'll find some scrapbooking tape that has all sorts of decorations and patterns and colors on them. That's super thin. It's so much thinner than paper, but has a really nice adhesive to it that doesn't leave much residue, where electrical tape leaves a lot of residue. You can use that in a variety of different patterns so the kids love it, and it is a much thinner tape to use. The reason this is so important is the gap between the fingerboard itself and that string that's vibrating up and down and moving around is actually quite small. And when we put that thick tape on there, that string will come down and actually make contact against that tape and cause all this buzzing that we don't want. So replace the tapes with something different or get rid of them completely. The other option, or the other thing that we see most often that causes buzzing strings, is the fingerboard itself and the shape of the fingerboard. Let's go take a look. So if we look at these three different options, the top one has this, what we call a negative camber. So it's curving down into the neck and then back up toward the bridge. And that's actually what we want. If you think about it, the string at the bridge and the string at the nut at the peg box is not going to vibrate. It's up against something solid and not moving. But all of that big length of string in the middle is going to vibrate up and down. And it's going to cause some problems for you when it hits the fingerboard. That's why we need that fingerboard carved down out of the way, like in the top example. Now oftentimes in the second example, we'll end up with a perfectly flat fingerboard. And in a lot of cases, this is just fine. The string will work just fine, no problem. But if the bridge has shrunk up a little bit or carved a little too low, or if the instrument has dried out and changed neck angle a little bit, which happens, then that fingerboard could be coming up into the strings a little too high and create some buzzing problems. And that third option, this is what we see the most, where we see this hump in there. So you can imagine where the string's not vibrating at the bridge and not vibrating at the nut, that fingerboard is now pushed right up inside of the vibration distance of the string, and it's going to cause all sorts of buzzing problems. Now, to get rid of that positive camber that's going up and instead put in that negative, that downward camber that we want, you can learn how to do so in our online repair masterclass course for orchestra. We go into great detail and show you step by step the tools that are needed and how to actually plane these out. It's really not that hard. You might think, oh, I'm carving my instrument, carving all sorts of wood. It's not. We're going to use a metal scraper and some templates and go take a look at it. Speaking of templates, if you want to see kind of what this looks like, you can get this type of acrylic template that has a fingerboard shaping guide down here, or go to our website and find you can download these PDFs that have all these bridge tools and these things in paper form that you can use this for free as well. So what we do with these is I take this guide, this curvy side of the guide, I'll move my strings back out of the way, and I'm going to lay this right down on the fingerboard itself. And I'm going to take a look at that, and right where the guide, where the gauge comes in contact with the fingerboard, and I want to make contact with that thing clear across the fingerboard all the way up and down. So that's going to tell me whether I've got the right curvature this direction. But if I want the right curvature in this direction, up and down the fingerboard, I need to close one eye and look right at the edge of the fingerboard. Not the flat side over here, not the top, but I want this edge right along here. I'm going to close one eye and look right straight down that edge. And I should be able to see that camber, that curvature in there. Now, interestingly enough, if I look on this one and I look on both sides, this side over here is curved, but this side is perfectly flat. So because this client is complaining about buzzing strings that I suspect because the bridge was broken when it came in, I suspect those are because this board is pretty flat on the side and it has fingerboard tapes. So we're going to replace those fingerboard tapes for them, cut a new bridge, make sure everything's at height, and recamber that fingerboard just a little bit. All right, the third thing that happens on the strings is these though, guys. So these string winders, that are string protectors that prevent the string from slicing through the bridge, get put in the wrong place. So if we find that this wrapping, I want to have it not centered, but actually pushed back to where the front edge, the fingerboard edge, is actually just at the edge of the bridge. What I don't want to see is I don't want to see this thing sticking all the way forward. You see how this is pushing all the way forward and the back edge down by the tailpiece is actually touching the bridge, and we've got all this. What happens is when that string vibrates around, it's going to vibrate and actually buzz inside of that string wrap, and that's no good. So all you have to do is loosen your string and slide that string wrap back just a little bit to that position, retune your string, and more than likely that buzz will be gone. Now, I only like having the string wrap on the smallest string for violin, viola, and cello. I actually don't like them on any of the other strings. So when I put this one back together, I'll actually cut this one off, which is really easy. You just take a razor blade. I always do it against my fingernail so I don't cut my skin. And I'm just going to, slice that guy off to where he comes off there and get rid of him. Now the fourth thing that ends up happening is in the tailpiece. Oftentimes what happens, we will retune the fine tuners here. So if you notice, like these two here are really close down to the instrument, but these two are up. So when we go to retune this, we're going to start just backing these off. But oftentimes what happens is we go too far with it to where this screw now starts to wobble back and forth. And so when we play the instrument on that string especially, that string vibrates and rattles back and forth inside of the tailpiece. All you have to do is screw that down until you feel it bump up against the claw that's underneath there, this foot that's actually creating the string tension. Feel it bump up against there and give it just a little bit more and make adjustments up at the peg to accommodate for the pitch. And then you've got the workability in that. But you need those screws to be tight up against the tailpiece mechanism, otherwise they rattle like crazy. Now guys, those are the four main things that happen on any string instrument that cause that string from buzzing, and it's completely annoying. So be sure to get in there and tighten those things up, move that piece around, check for proper cambering in the fingerboard because it makes the instrument remarkably easier to play anyway. And then if you can, get rid of those tapes altogether, but if not, then you make sure you use a really thin pinstriping tape or that crafter's tape for scrapbooking that's really super thin. And that'll help eliminate a lot of the buzzing in your instrument. Hope this helps, guys. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime. If you want to join me live for these sessions, just go to this section on our homepage, which is Join Me Every Tuesday, and sign up for Tech Tech Tuesday. And right there, what you can do is you'll come on a Zoom call with me live for this session and be able to ask me any questions you want. I've got a topic in mind, but if you've got a problem in front of you, I'd much rather solve that than pontificate on what I've got. So let's solve your issues and figure out what the problem is with your instrument. We'll get it fixed right there, live on Tech Tip Tuesdays, every Tuesday. Band topics are the first and third Tuesday of every month. Orchestra topics are the second and fourth. And if there's ever a fifth Tuesday, we'll cover a guitar topic on the fifth Tuesday. So make sure you get signed up for the next Tech Tip Tuesday and come join me live and learn how to repair your own inventory so you can get students back on stage.